On today's video, we're going to talk about how to make and how to use the best mousetrap ever. Hey there, outdoor YouTubers. Now, before we get into the mousetrap, I just wanted to thank all my subscribers out there. The channel just passed over into 50,000 subscribers, and again, I just wanted to thank all you guys and gals out there for all the support over the years. And all this subscriber talk kind of got me thinking back to when I first started the channel, and it got me thinking back to the first video I ever posted to YouTube. And that first video was about this particular mousetrap. And this particular mousetrap I refer to as the Wheel of Death. Now, I've talked about the Wheel of Death mousetrap in several other videos since I made that first video, but I thought it might be fun to take a look back at some of the clips from that first video, because I know a lot of you subscribers out there have probably never seen that first video that I did. You probably have never seen a lot of my earlier videos, right? Because you just don't have the viewing audience when you first start the channel. But either way, I did add some new stuff into this video, and I thought it might be fun to take that look back. If you're interested in the best mousetrap ever, the Wheel of Death, I think you'll find this video interesting. Or if you're just interested in taking a look back, to that first video that I ever did, you'll probably find that interesting too. Because when it comes to mousetraps, the saying goes, the early bird gets the worm, but the second mouse gets the cheese. But that only applies to conventional mousetraps, not the Wheel of Death. And today I'd like to talk to you about mouse removal. Mouse removal is a pretty important subject to me. Over the years at my deer camp, we've had a few mouse events that have gotten kind of serious. One year, my brother-in-law Milton, he was out hunting with us at the camp. Before bed one night, he put his cell phone down on the kitchen table with some hard candy. Next morning, he wakes up, the hard candy's gone, there's mouse droppings on the table, and the last number dialed on his cell phone was to some country in the Middle East. And not only did he get kind of nailed with some really hefty roaming fees, but with all the wiretapping since 9/11, we're pretty sure he's on a terrorist watch list. So, that got pretty serious. And then another year, my buddy Scott out at camp, he missed a real nice buck with his muzzleloader. And really the only conclusion we could come to is that a mouse had messed with his scope. So, we take mouse removal pretty seriously at our camp. And I got some different styles here. We'll get started with, just this conventional mousetrap. And, this is the one that's in all the cartoons. I'm sure you guys have seen this before. You pull the spring back, you kind of notch up the lever, and, you put your cheese or your peanut butter right here. Mouse comes along, and he gets it, right? And this is where the saying that the second mouse gets the cheese, because now a second mouse can come along and he can eat that cheese. And, I think that really empowers that second mouse. He comes along and he's like, oh, hey, look, my buddy ate the cheese, died. I'm eating the cheese, nothing happened. And, I think they start to think that there's some kind of mouse god or something, and that's when they get really cocky, and that's when you're going to have some serious problems. And, here's another style. This is actually a live trap, and it's got this hinged door on it. You put the bait down all the way to the back here, and you set it up like this, so of course, so the door is open. The mouse comes in, and he has to go to the back to get the bait, and the weight of the mouse tips it, and the door shuts. So now you've got this live mouse in here, and you can take him outside. You can let him go, maybe drive down the road, even let him go. But it's been my experience that mice can't be rehabilitated. So I don't really care to use that style either. The style I like to use is this bucket style trap. And of course, what it is, it's a bucket. It's some sort of a shaft and some kind of rolling device on that shaft to kind of make sort of a rolling pin type thing. And a ramp. And you'd smear your bait on here. You'd smear some peanut butter on here. You got this ramp, the mouse comes up, jumps on here to eat the bait, and falls off like a defeated log roller. And oftentimes, guys will put water in the bottom here, and so then the mouse will drown right away, which is fine. The only thing is, if you're going to leave this trap unattended for a while, the dead mice will start to stink in it a little bit. So it doesn't hurt to, maybe put something that'll kind of pickle the mouse in there. We had some really, really cheap rum that we poured in the bottom of our bucket trap one time. That works good, and maybe the mouse has a pretty good time right before he dies, with that rum. My brother-in-law Milton again, he's notoriously frugal. We told him to bring some Captain Morgans out to the camp, and I don't know, he came to deer camp with some kind of rum called Cabin Boy Larry's. It was hideous. So we just poured it in the bottom of the bucket trap. And like I say, maybe the mouse has a little bit more enjoyable time dying. But as you can see, our shaft is an arrow. This is an old aluminum arrow. It got bent going through the chest of a buck and had to be retired. And now it serves a good purpose here. And we just have a beer can for the spinning device. Of course, at most deer camps you can probably find a beer can if you look real hard. You don't have to use the Miller Lite Packer commemorative can, but we do. And the ramp, of course, can be anything. It can be a board like this. It can be a stick. You can use even something smaller if you put it up next to a couch or whatever. And they really work good. And of course, one of the real pluses about this type of trap is the mice it doesn't need to be reset. You can just keep continually catching mice, say all week long, if you just get out to your camp on the weekends and stuff. And my buddy Scott, after that incident where that mouse messed with his scope, he kind of wanted to give this a little bit more ominous name than just the bucket trap, so he coined the phrase Wheel of Death. So that's where that comes from. Anyways, it works really good. For anybody that hasn't used this type of trap before, I really recommend it. It's never needs to be reset other than adding a little bit of bait, but boom, the mice just keep coming and they just keep dying. So works real good. All right, well, a couple things that I want to add to that. Now, earlier in the video, you saw how sometimes we do put antifreeze inside the bucket trap, which really is a good option. But if you're going to take those dead mice, those antifreeze pickled dead mice, and throw them in the woods, you do run the risk of another animal coming along, eating those dead mice and getting sick. And maybe that other animal might be a domestic pet, could be your dog, could be your neighbor's dog. That's why we just go ahead and we put that Cabin Boy Larry's spiced rum into our Wheel of Death now. It keeps the dead mice from getting stinky, and as I mentioned earlier, it does allow for those mice inside the Wheel of Death to get a little drunk before they die. So that's a real humane way to kill a mouse. And even if you did take that dead mouse, throw it in the woods, and another animal came by and ate it, the worst that would happen to them is maybe they get a little drunk too. Now, of course, mouse problems aren't just at deer camps. I've had mice take up residency in my boat while it was in winter storage. They made a big nest and they chewed up some of the wiring. So now I put a Wheel of Death in my boat every year when it's in winter storage. Another thing to keep in mind, if you still want to use those conventional mouse traps, those snap traps, it's actually pretty surprising how often mice will pick the bait clean without setting off the trap. It's almost like they know what they're dealing with. And that's also something to keep in mind with the Wheel of Death. You just can't put the ramp right up next to the bait. You want to put that ramp far enough away so that it kind of encourages the mouse to jump onto the spinning device. If you get that ramp too close, they'll just stay right on the ramp and eat up all your bait, and they'll never fall into the wheel of death. And you know, you can bait those traps up with peanut butter or cheese. You know, either one works real good. Now, for any of you guys and gals out there that are interested in Cabin Boy Larry's spiced rum, I will leave a link below in the description of this video that'll bring you to a merch channel where you can get yourself a Cabin Boy Larry's spiced rum t-shirt. If you actually look at the graphics on the t-shirt, it kind of looks like Cabin Boy Larry is actually puking in his mop bucket. So, yeah, the t-shirts are pretty cool. And again, guys, I just want to thank you subscribers out there. I really do appreciate the support. And if you haven't subscribed, you know, please consider doing so. You just click on that red subscribe banner, and if you want notifications of when I put new videos out, you can also click on the bell. And remember, subscribing is free. And also, remember to hunt fish, laugh, repeat. This is Dave Knetter from Knetter's Practical Outdoors. Hey, thanks for watching, and God bless.